Hello and welcome to another episode of the Alter Your Health podcast. Dr. Ben here, happy to be with you. And my apologies for the big break that I've had getting things going here in the new year. There's been a lot going on behind the scenes. I don't need to get into it, but moral of the story here is that there's been a lot of action in the Green Forest community, our new product, totally unaffiliated with Alter Health and the Alter Your Health podcast. However, I am behind both the V's Foods launch of Green Force, which you can find out more at www.vsfoods.co, as well as so that's what's been going on. I've been hosting this challenge and it's been great. And that's besides the point. That's just, excuses. We've all got them, right? In any event, I am really excited to articulate an insight that I have had, which has been pretty profound. I think it's beyond articulation at this point for me, but I'm going to do my best to convey the power that I have recognized and the power that you have as well, the power that we all have when it comes to controlling our health and specifically related to our nutritional habits. As you might know, the work that we have done, Susanna and I at Alter Health, and the messages that we have conveyed through the Alter Your Health podcast along the lines of whole food, plant-based nutrition. The message has been to focus on nutrient density and focus on eating real foods and focusing on eliminating toxicity in processed foods. You've heard us talk about this so much. We've also kind of gotten into the macronutrient biochemistry conversation. And we've also talked about the nervous system and how that affects everything related to our health, our digestion, our metabolism, and so forth. But this is kind of the next level, if you will, that controls everything. And that is, of course, our mindset. So I really have, I've had this profound insight for a while, but it became really blatantly obvious for me really after listening to a conversation on the Huberman Lab podcast with Dr. Ellen Langer. And I've been exposed to Dr. Langer's work for a number of years. I've always thought she's doing incredible things. And essentially, she's researching the mind, body, and mindset and really corroborating what I've known forever. And I'm sure what we all know with some really profound scientific evidence. So what I have concluded based on listening to that conversation on the Huberman Lab podcast with Ellen Langer. I've had this insight around our nutritional habits and really the most fundamental ingredient that is non-negotiable when it comes to our health. And I think specifically our metabolic health and our weight loss goals, if you will. This has been my experience professionally in working with people. And again, it's just been, I think there's evidence to back this up. So you might be wondering, what is this missing nutritional ingredient? And yes, it is related to mindset, but specifically it's related to the way in which we relate with and the thoughts that we have and the perceptions that we have of our food. And I think specifically what has been most profound for me is the C word, calories specifically. You guys might know that Susanna nor I never ever consider in any instances tracking calories. Sometimes we do so with our clients, but only for the sole purpose of making sure that people are eating enough, not in the term of, we never relate to calories as something to restrict. So I have had this insight that the more we look at calories, the more we count calories, the more we track calories, both in terms of the calories that are coming in and the calories that we are so-called burning on any given day through our activity and whatnot, the more we're doing that, the more we're actually creating calories in excess for us to lose. And you might be saying, really, our mind is that powerful? Well, yeah, I do want to corroborate this with some scientific evidence, not specifically related to this calorie conversation, but a profound study that, again, Dr. Langer has done a few years ago now. And I was introduced to the study about a year ago, but it just kind of clicked how powerful this study was and how it is so applicable to our nutrition, our metabolism, and our biochemistry. So this study that Dr. Langer did was looking at perception and how it relates to healing, and specifically looking at the perception of time. And she found that when study participants were in a group where the time was sped up, their wounds healed faster. Their wounds healed, say, for example, a wound takes 4 days to heal. Well, if you are living in normal reality where 4 days is like 48, 96 hours, then your wound will heal in 96 hours. But the study participants lived in, essentially, you could say, an alternative reality where the time was sped up. So the 96 hours that was associated with 4 days was actually 48 hours. And of course, that's hard to do because we've got like the sun setting and rising and setting. But in any event, they found that someone's rate of healing was directly related to their perception of the passing time. And if they perceived time to be passing more quickly, then their wounds healed more quickly. That is really profound. You know, studying the body and how things work, we think about like the timeline of healing, the timeline of wound healing, what's involved, the red blood cells, the white blood cells, the collagenous, like the laying down of collagen and new skin and all of these things taking like a period of time. Well, there's a master in this equation of operation, and that is your perception of reality. And of course, like I've been told a number of times, perception is reality. And I've like, it's kind of like this saying that we just kind of believe and understand. But the profound nature of that statement, perception is reality, cannot really be fully appreciated. So, anyways, the point being that these, what we would otherwise observe as really concrete physiologic events, they can in fact be completely altered and sped up, if you will, to be more consistent and aligned with our perception rather than the quote unquote reality that exists. So, translating this into the world of metabolic health and the weight loss story, what I'm trying to articulate here is that the way you perceive calories, your focus on calories, your focus on nutrition in general, is going to be completely correlated with your experience in your physiologic response in your body. So I think it would be really cool to do a study, something like this. You give participants a plate of food, and the plate of food is exactly identical. Two plates, like two participants, two plates of food. Or maybe you'd have three participants, just like in this study. So there's like a plate of food that has 700 calories, let's say, and it's like that's the nature. The caloric quantity on a plate is 700 calories. But then another group, you tell that the people, hey, you're actually just eating 400 calories. And then another group, you tell them, all right, this plate is actually 1,000 calories. So who is going to experience more calorie consumption in these groups of people? Well, you would think they would be consuming the same amount of calories because in essence, in reality, there are 700 calories on each plate. But the perception, the belief, the thoughts that we have around what we're consuming, I believe will be completely indicative of someone's experience physiologically, metabolically, and over the long term. If you extrapolate this out over days, weeks, months, for sure, someone's experience of weight gain or weight release. I do believe that we are that powerful as human beings that we are able to completely create our experience. And again, I would like to also share some examples and some observations that I've had professionally and personally in my life. Like I already said, not once in my entire life have I ever even considered counting calories. I've done, a couple days of diaries, and for the purpose of, I guess I have counted calories, but not for the purpose of like doing this equation of, oh my gosh, I ate 2,700 calories and I only burned 2,523 calories today. Oh shoot, I have a 200 calorie excess. And that means, well, I think that there are so many people in this world that are living in some version of that reality, maybe it is not overtly counting calories, but that's the nature of the thoughts and beliefs that someone might have. So the consequences of that, I believe, are really can be direct. So in any event, some back to the examples that I've observed in my personal and professional life. Again, in my personal life, never counted calories. I can say that with Susanna, also never counted calories. And I know, despite not counting calories, I know that I have been in periods of caloric excess, if you will. Because, for example, I'm have X amount of activity and X amount of nutrition. And yeah, I'm like burning X amount of calories and I'm eating X amount of calories. But if I have a quote unquote rest week or rest 2 weeks where my activity level goes well below normal, usually my nutrition does not go that far below normal. I'm not really thinking about it. So I'm for sure in a calorie excess. And I do get on the scale actually quite a bit, just because I'm like curious about how I'm kind of looking at that from a scientific perspective. Side note, we only got a scale about 3 years ago when Susanna became pregnant with our daughter Grace, just to track a healthy amount of weight gain. And otherwise, I don't really. I would if we didn't have a scale, I wouldn't use a scale. And in any event, I digress. The point being, despite being all over the place with my calorie consumption, my weight is like fully consistent. And that holds true for Susanna, I know, as well. And I can think about just the people in my life who kind of don't care about dieting or calorie counting or nutrition tracking. Generally, those people tend to be doing pretty well. And again, back to my professional experience, the people who are hyper focused on the nutrition tracking, either from the perspective of making sure you're getting enough calcium or protein or not too many calories, the more hyper focused one might be, the more issues those people tend to have. And of course, you probably have made these observations in your own life. Maybe you're one who tends to be hyper focused and you're like, man, I can't believe Brenda, she just goes out and she eats whatever she wants and she's fine. I think there's a reason for that. I think that this can be explained with the metaphysical sorts of research that has been done by, for example, Dr. Langer. It kind of explains how our perception, the thoughts that we have, the beliefs that we hold, really do shape our physiologic experience, both moment to moment for sure, as well as kind of extended over more prolonged periods of time. So what can we gather from this? Well, to ease up on what you're or not ease up, maybe ease up on the hyper focus on nutrition if that's something that you feel like you're struggling with. Oh my, like trying to perfect your diet, trying to count the calories, trying to track this and track that. It's okay to do that, but you want to be doing that from a really healthy standpoint, from the place of understanding your power and really the leverage that you have in your mind, your thoughts and beliefs. But also practically, I guess one tip that I might have is to just stop counting calories. Stop looking at nutrition facts, even stop counting protein and anything for that matter. We really don't recommend doing that. That being said, when we are eating and choosing foods to eat, we do recommend that people look at if there is a packaged food, of course, we do recommend that people look at the ingredient list just to make sure that they're not getting poisoned, especially on a consistent basis. If you're eating a bag of this or a box of that every week, you want to make sure that you're not just slowly dripping toxins in your body that you don't want. Because I think the fact of the matter is, despite our mindset, the reality is that we do live in the physical constraints of physical world reality, and toxins do affect our body. So yes, the message is kind of mind over matter, if you will, but also matter exists and affects other matter. So we can only do mind over matter so much, but that being said, we do have so much power in how you perceive reality, the thoughts you have, the beliefs you have. So really know how you're pointing that power, where you're pointing that power, how you're using that power, because we are creating our experience whether we like it or not. So hopefully we can start choosing to create an experience that is pleasant, that is health promoting, that is enjoyable. That's really what it comes down to, right? And it goes without saying that this insight that I've had around the world of nutrition and biochemistry and how our thoughts and shape our relationship with food and eating and how our body works, this can, of course, be translated to everything in the world, right? The sky is the limit in terms of the potential that we have to shape our reality, to quote unquote manifest things. I tend to not get in that conversation of the metaphysical power of manifestation that we hold as human beings, but I do believe it. I do believe that we hold an incredible power to manifest whatever we want. And we are, in fact, again, manifesting 24 hours a day. So maybe we can become more consciously aware of what we're choosing to bring into our lives, both in terms of, again, our physiologic response, what's going on in our bodies, and also what we're bringing into other aspects of our physical world, whether it be relationships, work, etc. That's about that. I guess as I leave you today, a little bit of an action step, maybe become more attuned to what you're thinking about, what you're creating, what your relationship has been with the foods that you're bringing in your body. Do you have kind of a laid back, grounded, down to earth, detached place of like, yeah, I'm going to eat healthy and I know my body is brilliant and I know my body's wisdom to digest and metabolize perfectly. I'm not going to counter, track, or obsess with things. Or are you going to be hyper-focused and overly diligent and doubt your body's capacity to detoxify and metabolize and cleanse and self-regulate? Because the fact is, our bodies are incredibly intelligent and resilient and capable of doing anything and everything. We just have to trust that. And that really is the message here, is to trust your body. And also, before I sign off, if you are having your own insights, if you are wanting to talk about this, unpack this conversation, receive a little bit of support in the realm of mind body medicine, feel free to reach out. Send me a message. info@alter.health is the email address to reach me, and be happy to set up a mindset coaching consultation. That's what I've started to focus in my so-called professional practice as a naturopathic doctor. Not really doing the nutrition stuff because I think that there's something more powerful. That being said, nutrition is really powerful. And if you're interested in refining that and fine-tuning that and receiving some coaching there, that's what Dr. Susanna is doing. Lastly, also, just want to remind you guys of this beauty here, Green Force, the latest creation. You might not be able to see it, but it's beautiful. It's delicious. The feedback has been great. We just finished up the Power of Nature Challenge that I hosted in January, and a little bit of negative feedback, but we can't please everyone, right? But I think we pleased about 90%, 95% of people with this product. And it is, by the way, specifically formulated for liver health, detoxification, and metabolic health. No nonsense, no fluff. So you can learn more about this and also get a discount on your first order at www.visfoods, that's VIS foods.co. All right, you guys, hope you have a wonderful weekend or wherever this podcast is meeting you. And also look forward to catching you next time. Hopefully it won't be another month or more. So until then, peace and love.